Hi there, I'm Lindsay Bugby and I'm the artist and calligrapher behind the Postman's Knock website. Today I'm going to give you a brief overview of how to learn and create modern calligraphy. Now before we get started, I do want to talk to you about the cool things that you can create with calligraphy. I think it's easier to be patient with yourself as you're learning if you keep your eye on the prize, which is knowing that you can create these neat projects. To me, the most obvious use for calligraphy is beautiful envelopes. I love using calligraphy to make formal envelopes for events like weddings or just because mail art envelopes. You can also use calligraphy for projects like place cards, labels, or quote artwork for your home. Another use for calligraphy is marketing. For example, this is a spread that I did for Flow France magazine. You can see that it's quite eye-catching. Alright, if you're feeling excited and motivated to learn calligraphy, let's get started by talking about the basic supplies that you should have on hand. First, you'll want to buy a Nico G nib. This is a medium flex nib that's great for beginners because if you have a nib with too much flex, that's usually a little bit tough to work with if you've never done calligraphy before. Second, you'll want a straight calligraphy pen, and these two things assemble. You can find assembly instructions in the Beginner's Guide to Modern Calligraphy, which is an article on the Postman's Knock website. I will link to that in this video description. Next, you'll want ink. Sumi ink is great for beginners. India ink will also work. Once you get that ink, you will probably want to transfer it to a separate container. I got this little plastic jar off of Paper and Ink Arts, which is an online store that specializes in calligraphy supplies. Finally, you'll want to get some 32-pound LaserJet paper. I use this paper because it's super smooth, it interacts very well with a dip pen, and it's super economical. Now these instructions are going to seem strange, but what I want you to do before you start writing is get a potato and stick your Nico G nib into it. Wait for 15 minutes and then wipe the nib off. By doing this, you get the manufacturer's oils or waxes off of the nib, and that's going to make it a million times easier to write with. At this point, I want you to get used to holding this calligraphy pen. With regular pens, we're often holding our pens up like this, and the pen wiggles as we write because we use our fingers. With calligraphy pens, you'll want to hold the pen at about a 45-degree angle to the paper. So I'm talking 45 degrees between this pen and the paper. And the pen shouldn't wiggle at all as you write. So you're basically gliding it across the page like this. So again, I want to show you the difference. This is what you would do with a regular pen, like a ballpoint. This is what you do with a calligraphy pen. Okay, for the remainder of this video, I'm going to be working with a worksheet that I compiled exclusively for this video. You can find the link to that worksheet in the description. Make sure you print off the worksheet on dip pen friendly paper, such as that 32-pound LaserJet that I mentioned. First, we're going to write the two basic strokes that are present in all letters. Those are downstrokes, which are thick, and upstrokes, which are thin. So you can see that this letter A is comprised of upstrokes, these thin strokes, and downstrokes, which are these thick strokes. So you'll want to start with these downstrokes. To make a downstroke, apply pressure to your pen, and the tines of your nib are going to splay out and make that thick line. Then, to make an upstroke, you will want to just push your pen up with minimal pressure. So, lots of pressure here on the downstroke, minimal pressure on the upstroke, and continue on just like that. Alright, now, most letters also include curves. So let's practice that. You have an upstroke here, so you know not to apply much pressure to your nib. Then downstroke, apply pressure. Upstroke, no pressure, well, hardly any pressure. Downstroke, apply pressure. And continue on just like that. And once you fill that out, you're done with the drills portion. Once you're finished with the drills portion of this worksheet, you'll want to move on to the alphabet exemplar. I think that probably the best way to learn for a beginner is to go ahead and trace over the letters first, because that way you're going to get a good idea of where the upstrokes and downstrokes are. Once you've traced over a letter, try writing it yourself on the line below the letter. Now I'll write out all of these letters for you. I am going to speed the video up so you don't have to sit here forever, but I want you to know that calligraphy is a slow activity, so you shouldn't feel like you are not doing well if it's taking you forever to write. It should take you quite a long time to do this. Start this letter up here actually. Once you learn how to write letters, you can connect them in order to make words. I will show you, for example, how to write love. And you can practice this word several times on the lines given. Then here is how you write greetings. Now, I don't want to make calligraphy sound super simple. It is an art that will take you time and energy to perfect, and your first few attempts may be less than satisfactory. As you're going, you will run into a lot of little problems, but I can promise you that I've covered all of those in the Beginner's Modern Calligraphy online course, or you can find some troubleshooting on the Postman's Knock blog. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and of course, if you have any questions, I invite you to ask in the comments or visit me at www.thepostmansknock.com.